You're listening to the Motivated Mindset Podcast with Bobby Stein.
Hello and welcome into another episode of the Motivated Mindset Podcast. And I hope that wherever you're watching or listening today that you're doing absolutely wonderful. And today we're going to learn what motivates the mindset of a young man who is presently the president and founder of Web3 Acceleration Association. That's a student-led nonprofit being built out of the Texas Tech University, where he's also a student. And without further delay, please help me join and welcome in Ezven Galarraga. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And Ezven, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, Bobby. Super excited to be here and chat it up a bit.
I really appreciate that. So you're a Red Raider?
Yes, sir. I'm a junior here at Texas Tech. Yes. I'm majoring in economics too. So.
Okay, that's we're going to get into that a little bit because I think what your brand of economics might go against the grain of historically proven or tried strategies that professors may be teaching. I don't know. I could be wrong, but you tell me. So
Yeah. We can definitely dive into that. It's I like to think I have a different perspective compared to a lot of the other students that attend here. So.
Well, you're a young man, right? So you're a junior at university. And so that whole generation, I think, is kind of is really keen and kind of looking for different options. And I'm curious to know. Well, let's back up just a little bit. First of all, you didn't you found a company with your father, graphics design for motorcycles, Easy Design? Was that you?
Yeah. Me and my dad and then another one of a family members were the ones that started that and kind of dove into the motocross scene and took it from there. But yeah, I'm one of the kids and the ones that helped my dad found that. So
Outstanding. Cool. And do you still race at all? Do you still ride?
No, I honestly haven't ridden since I came to college. Just I've been so busy and there's not many tracks here. Then the ones that are, they're open rarely or they're pretty far. But other than that, I've been wanting to get back on the bike and get back to it because it's definitely something I miss.
Yeah, it's an excellent hobby, and if you take it to the next level, of course, that's always fun. What did you race? 125s, 250s, big bores, 450s, 400s?
I raced it all. I've been racing since I was on 65s, like 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
My dad mentioned this on the podcast and stuff. But I raced all the way up 85s to 250s, went to Loretta Lynn's, and once I went to Loretta Lynn's, the year after that, I came to college and just been trying to casually ride the bike. I picked up an e-bike, which is so much fun. So that's like the closest I get to riding, and I'm riding that thing here on campus. So, I mean, It's a good time.
Yeah, I have a buddy of mine, Ezven. He's got a motorcycle shop, and he does customs and restorations, and he's always a big, cafe racer, Harleys, adventure bikes, and stuff like that. But he's got this line, and I can't recall what it's called, but it's like a motocross bike, but it's powered by electric, and it's so torquey, and it's weird because when you go hit the power band on a 125 or a two-stroke, 250, it's like rah, but it comes on so different, but there's a lot of torque. Does your e-bike have that same torque to it?
Yeah. It's like 0 to 100 or not 0 to like instant power is what I mean. That thing is like nothing else. And once you kind of get used to it, I personally enjoy it more than my real dirt bike, just because of maintenance and things like that. But honestly, it's such a fun bike. So much fun. I ride it on campus, like I said, and I'm taking it to classes and parking that thing outside, popping wheelies on it, all kinds of stuff. So much fun.
Yeah. I'm jealous. It's on my bucket list. I've got to get one. They're just fantastic. It's like a golf cart. They're electric powered golf carts. They're instant on or a Tesla. They're just like, you would never think they were that fast, but it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Excited to see what the future holds.
I think it's really it's going to unfold nicely, and you're right. You're in perfect position for that. I think I saw on a post, Ezven, you were recording some music.
Yeah. That was just a fun little project. Me and my family went to I don't know, where was it? It was we went to somewhere in Mexico. I don't really remember, but we went to Mexico. Then we met this barber that was cutting hair there, and we ended up like connecting with them super, super closely. And he invited us to his studio, and he was all like, yo, you want to hop on this song I'm making? I was like, sure. And then we threw that up, and who knows if that song's even been released, but that's just a little something funny I posted on the socials to get the people going.
Yeah. Do you have an interest in creating music? Do you play an instrument, or do you like that?
Not, don't get me wrong. I'm not no artist or musician or anything. That's more my little brother. He's the one with the talents there. But I definitely am a huge follower of music. I love culture. I love things of all that sort. It's just music is something that I resemble with a lot, especially if they got some meaningful lyrics, and it's just like a way to flash back into certain times. It's amazing how like music and art can affect your mental health in a positive way.
It's incredible, and the older you get too, you'll look back. I'll hear a song from, the 60s or the 70s, and I'm immediately in that space. It's almost like the smell of fresh cut grass, and it's like how a smell will transport you back. Well, music really has that ability as well. It's really intriguing.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
had that exact same experience, and it's something that I'm barely starting to go through as I'm barely getting older. I'm kind of getting older and becoming an official adult, and a lot of these new older songs or newer songs, they take me back to when I was a child or when I was riding dirt bikes with my buddies, living at a motocross facility and things like that. And it's really just cool to experience that again in some way, even if you're not really there.
Yeah, it's universal. It really is. It's emotional. It's soulful, and it's just music is life. I think it's a really big component. I really believe that, especially good music.
Yeah, yeah.
So let me ask you a question. What made you decide to get into the arena? Well, first of all, tell me a little bit about your business, the Web3, Nexus,
Yeah.
Web3. What is put some of these pieces together for those that don't know what that is?
Yeah, yeah. So I'll give you a quick rundown. So, what I run is a nonprofit organization called Web3 Acceleration Association. And what we do is we educate students on what exactly is Web3. So, I'm somebody that believes Web3 is going to impact every industry. It doesn't matter if it's blockchain or AI, it's going to affect you in some way. And the thing is, the issue, there's not a lot of educational resources. People don't know where to start and things like that, especially here on campus. Like these are topics that are so new, but so impactful that the fact that the university isn't even talking about it is insane. So what I do is I bring in the resources. I help by hosting workshops, taking these students to conferences, getting them connections with industry leaders, and then host initiatives like a couple of the projects that we're doing. So we have like three projects. One that you mentioned was called Nexus. This is a North American wide university competition, and it's designed to show students the opportunity that this industry has and really get rid of that skepticism they may have and try to land positions where students didn't know these type of things existed. And aside from that, too, we also are starting to work on another project. It's called Lubbock on Chain, and this is really bringing more of the small businesses in the Lubbock community because we have a small but really impactful community, I think, to build something great here. And what we do is we educate people on how exactly that could impact their lives, their businesses, and try to get them set for a better future, hopefully, and be beneficial to this new technology that's coming.
Yeah, that's interesting. What do you see? What would you tell a small business owner that's got a traditional business model and he's dealing in dollars and cents and he's getting bank loans and dealing with the Small Business Association and things of that nature? What advantages does the new format bring to somebody like that?
I, what I would definitely recommend for a small business owner coming in is first off, hire hire people that may be of a younger demographic, so that way you can get a better understanding of that new culture, what's coming. Because the way you have to look at it, if you want to structure a well business, the way I believe, things that I've also been taught through my dad and stuff is that you don't want to build for the current customer, you want to build for the future customer, and that future customer is being our current generation and things like that. The real money lies in our generation, not what's already there. And so how is it that a student can adapt that? Well, they bring in somebody who has a relevance to that culture. So bringing in somebody young, letting them come up with new and innovative ideas versus just sticking in the same business model, whether it's hosting completely different marketing ads that somebody from your generation may not completely understand, like TikTok videos or memes and things of that sort. Or if it's just implementing different types of software, like there's a lot of things that specifically even at Easy Designs or at my mom's business that can be well improved so much, but my current parents don't know that much about it, or they don't know the technology that's out there, especially with things like AI. So what I would recommend is get people to take the time, go out and find better resources, because that way you can cut costs, get better efficiency, and just excel from there just by taking a little bit of time to learn what's been coming or know what is currently being adopted.
Well said, well said, and I agree with you on all fronts. I think it's the generations that are coming up. They're coinciding with the advent of artificial intelligence. I mean, it's really hitting the ground at the same time as young people like yourself enter the workforce, and the skill sets are, the skill sets that applied to previous generations, although they're foundationally sound, they're just evolving, and we have to keep up with that trend, so to speak.
Exactly. You don't want to get left behind, Bobby.
Oh my gosh. It's so true. I look at, it's a TikTok generation. Everything is so, I think if I'm not mistaken, Ezven, our minds can only take in 24 frames per second. Yet we go out and we buy big screen TVs that have, 1080 and 4000 and these different frame rates. So what happens is our conscious mind is is looking at a flat screen or looking at a picture. It's only comprehending on a conscious level 24 frames a second. Well, what's going on with all the other data and information? Well, it's going right on by, and it's being buried in the consumer's subconscious mind. But as the consumption for the newer media is unfolding, like TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Instagram, everything is bam, 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 bam. There's no space in between any longer. It's not. You look at a commercial from the 80s or the 90s, and it's like in slow motion. I mean, it's ridiculous. And the young people pull their hair out, right? Because they're going, get to the point.
Yeah. It's all about attention span nowadays, and that's something that younger generation doesn't really is very good at, because we've grown up on the short form content, and it may be hard for some people to nowadays sit in a classroom for an hour and a half or listen to some of that longer form content. But needless to say, I don't think that long form content is a bad thing. I think it's becoming even a greater thing than what it was before, like podcasts we've seen, and especially with things in the election, is that it's something people are using more for information than some of the old, more native ways of getting information, like TVs or your news channels and things like that. And our new generation really likes that personal connection of being able to listen to a podcast, listen to the previous episodes, and really get that truthful sense of connection with them.
I agree. I mean, if you find a podcast, we'll take the number one, show out there, right? Joe Rogan. And say you stumble upon him, if you've lived in a cave and you haven't heard of him, right? But now you land on his webpage and you're listening to his podcast. Well, he's got, 1,500 episodes. Chances are those episodes live in perpetuity, and they're commercial free. So you're going to go back and actually like kind of binge listen. It's great for when you're in the car. It's great for when you're on a road trip. And moreover, too, Ezven, I think you can drill down specifically to what you want to listen. You don't have to, with TV, you kind of, it's just, unless it's something you can dial up like a Netflix, specifically a movie or something. With TV, you're listening to, again, there's commercials, and you may have to channel surf forever just to find something worthwhile. So it's a big difference.
Exactly. I don't know how you did it, Bobby. I can't stand TV nowadays.
Ouch. So what do you think about, I know with for instance, with ChatGTP, I typed in, as an example, I said, write me a business plan. And it responds to the question as you intelligently ask it. So the better your question, the more detailed and graphic it can give in its response. I said, give me a business plan. I typed out the criteria, and honest to God, I think it took like 5 seconds, which would have taken me weeks to write. What do you
Exactly.
think the future of that is, and how are you guys in university implementing ChatGTP with research papers and all that kind of good stuff?
Okay, I'll start off with the university question first off. At the university, there really isn't very much adoption. They're actually kind of anti about it. It's very few classes where they actually promote it and they like use it for coding or things like that. But when it comes to that university level, they don't care. Nobody really wants to dive into this specific sector. They're scared shitless. They don't know where to run, things like
Really?
that. Yeah, it's actually quite fascinating how behind these universities are. Not just Texas Tech, but different like universities across North America. Like I have friends all over that study at Michigan, California, Colorado, Georgia, all these different places, and they all say the similar things.
Is there a lot of pushback from the faculty, and just because it's again, how's that? What's going on?
Yeah. Huge amount of pushback. Well, it's not really, it's pushback, but it's also the bureaucratic systems. Like this is something that the club also advocates for. So we have meetings with like the board of Texas Tech on how they can implement specifically blockchain into the curriculum. And we've had a meeting with the president, with the school provost, and the issue is that they have so much bureaucracy where they have to go from one teacher to the next and then go to an intermediary to meet with the next person and then so forth. And it's just that connection of having to go through like 40 people just to get one thing answered is what's really hurting the education system.
Red
At
tape.
least I believe. Like you have so many people that are working, and the fact that it takes 3 months to answer a simple question just because you ask one person, that person has to ask the next is absolutely insane.
Yeah, I liken it to making a hard right turn in the Titanic. The
Yeah,
big ship. You're not going to, that thing. You got to plan that out, and it moves. And as opposed to if you're on a jet ski, you just
yeah,
right. It's so much quicker. But yeah, I would think that there's a lot of, and I think a lot of that is based on deep fear of change. Would you
yeah,
agree?
definitely. I would agree, but it's also more of it's like this. I'm somebody that believes currently right now, it's not AI that's going to be taking people's jobs. It's going to be AI taking people's jobs who haven't yet started implementing AI into their jobs. So why, for example, if I'm a student using AI on almost everything I do, it makes my work come out 10 times faster, 10 times better versus a fellow student who is not using AI. They work slower. They have to be more thorough with their work and things like that. What takes it to say that I should be hired over them? Well, that person's going to be the one left behind. And that's where I think the world is currently heading. It's those people that go in, take the time, learn, adopt to stay ahead of the curve and not get outdated, which is like a whole mission of the club too.
And the name of that club again is?
Web3 Acceleration Association.
Gotcha. And you've got what, about a half dozen, maybe more team members on board?
Yeah. For a team, we have like a team of four, all students, and then we have some advisors and things like that that are helping us on like more the business style, professional, getting connections and things like that. But we have a solid team. We like to do things differently of compared to different organizations. I feel like where we like to move fast, efficient, and really just get the ball rolling. Because, like I said, the students who are really a part of this club or the board members are they know what's coming. They kind of enjoy doing more of this than school, but I shouldn't be saying that.
Right.
But yeah, it's super fun to see where we're taking it. We've grown it to like 140 members too, which is pretty insane in less than a year. So I'm pretty proud on where we're moving and excited to see what else we can do.
Well, you're a trailblazer. I think that the fact that, I know we said pushback, or I said that before, but the fact that there's resistance or there's bureaucracy involved, it shows me that, you're really, when Henry Ford invented the mass produced the automobile, people they thought walking was better, the bicycle was better, horses for long distance, and they were resistant. And then, you looked up 10 years after its inception, and half the cars on the road were Ford Model Ts. So
Yep.
you really have a tiger by the tail, and it sounds like you're passionate. I would just you keep running with it. What do you think? I've heard statistics, Ezven, that say like it grows, AI's intelligence grows exponentially every year. Like, in other words, as we interact with our texts and use slang like yo dude and hey man and stuff, that all the Siri and the Alexas and all that picks it up and it are incorporating it, and it's exponentially growing, they're going to be able to outpace the human intellect, if not already, in very short order. No?
Yeah, I mean, they already have outpaced most of human
Yeah.
intelligence just based on because they have access to so much information and they're able to put it together at such way faster times than a human can. So they've already got us beat there. But the part where we have advantage is creativity. We're able to resemble with humans, understand culture, and bring that into how we maneuver throughout our daily lives, and that's something AI hasn't yet accomplished yet. So I think from that front, it really is just about how can us humans stay creative while also taking the time to, like I said, educate yourself on this new technology. Because if you're able to implement AI into yourself, then it's a win-win for both of you.
And how would you recommend an individual that came to you and said, Ezven, Bobby Stein comes to you, right? He says, okay, I use ChatGTP to draft letters and search the web and stuff. I'm in sales as a profession or a vocation. How can AI help an individual like that, or in marketing, or what are the benefits and features what should I be on the lookout for?
Yeah. For you, Bobby, I think there's definitely room for a lot of AI implementation. Now, if somebody different with different job skills and things like that came to me, I would obviously refer them something different. But for you, I feel something that may be beneficial to you is obviously you have all this information that's being recorded all at once. So you can have an AI bot that's going in, clipping it, posting it on your social medias for you, kind of spreading the word, doing the marketing that way. Or you could also get it to better improve your speech. So there's AIs where if we're on this call together, imagine, what can hop off. It'll give me the whole meeting notes for the conversation we had. It'll rate my proficiency, how I
Oh,
talked,
wow.
what I could better improve, things I may have said too many times, or how many words per minute I'm saying. Should I slow down? Should I speed up? How was the engagement in the conversation? All this is stuff that AI is currently doing to help people in your specific sector improve. So I think it's just ways of, like I said, implementing those specific tools into your life to better benefit you.
And where are these apps? Do you download apps, or where do I find this stuff? Where would
Yeah.
somebody go to
You
get a
can
bot
you
that
can
could do this?
Yeah, you can, like, for the one I specifically use, it's a AI bot that hops in literally conversations like this. So it'll be like me and you, Bobby, and then my AI bot that'll be called like Ezven's AI bot or whatever. And then this AI bot is just listening to what we both have to say, collecting all the information and going from there. But am I getting a performance issue?
No, you're okay.
Okay, I got a
You're okay.
notification here. But and then the specific tools, I can send you over a couple in the messages after this, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
No, that'd be great. Yeah, I'm all about it. I think it's here to stay, and it's not going anywhere fast. I mean, guys like Elon Musk. I mean, all these people, they're embracing this, and big tech, and I think from a consumer standpoint, it's it's just the nature of the beast. It's the way it's going, and either going to adapt or be left behind like a dinosaur. I think so.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, but so let me see here. So tell me a little bit about, if you don't mind, cryptocurrency and what's your understanding of it, and how does it play into Joe Everyman or Jane Everygirl, their life as we move forward? What is cryptocurrency?
Yeah. So cryptocurrency is the thing that I'm more passionate about more than AI, and I just think it's a gift to humanity. Bitcoin was given to us by nobody knows who, and it solves a lot of the real world issues that we currently have in the financial system. It highlights where corruption is at, which is a big thing that is currently going around in the government, and then outside, it's really starting to highlight how the world revolves around money, what what's what creates value, and things of all that sort. And I think Bitcoin crypto is just going to be so revolutionary to people's lives that if you are able to adopt it in early, it's a huge advantage compared to somebody who is left behind from it. So the question is which side do you want to be on?
Well, I understand that you're correct. I don't know who the originator is. There's that one individual, but they can't pinpoint it. But essentially, there's only so much of it.
Yeah.
And so when you're buying it, you're buying a fraction of a fraction of a fraction. And it's really difficult, I think, for a lot of people conventionally minded to get their arms around that. But, people are buying and selling with this stuff now.
Yeah, exactly. I think, like I said, there's there's Bitcoin, which is the main one most people know. It's the first one ever created. And then there's different types of cryptocurrencies underneath that. So you have things like Ethereum, Solana, Sui, all things of that sort that may provide different value than what Bitcoin is. And it really is just about the technology behind it, how the code is written, the security. Is it decentralized? Is it more centralized? And things of that sort that really play a role on the specific crypto scene. But I believe Bitcoin is the most secure. It's the one that people are going to be putting their money into to secure wealth and go from there. But at the end of the day, this is not financial advice too. I can't do that yet. I'm a student, but yeah.
Yeah. No, okay. We're just having a conversation, brother. Two brothers, hanging out, talking. I know with your father mentioned in Venezuela years ago where the government was like printing money, and
Yep.
you kind of got to wonder with our situation now, right? In the U.S., the government to fund an effort like, and I'm not political in any way, shape, or form, but to fund a big undertaking like Ukraine and the billions and billions of dollars. Well, the money starts to or the national debt, right, in the trillions. The money starts to outweigh the millions of people that are earning money and getting taxed. I mean, where's the money coming from, right? They're printing it, and then that devalues the dollar, no? And then, I was telling your dad when we were speaking, if you put $10,000 under your mattress, it's going to be worth like $6,000. If you put it in there 10 years ago, it's worth a fraction of what it was, and it's an unfortunate situation.
Exactly. That's something that really caught my eye right off the bat when I dove into the crypto scene. Because growing up, my dad always mentioned, like he mentioned to you, that the reason he had to leave Venezuela was because of things of corruption. The currency there was getting debased so badly that it wasn't even feasible. People were not using it. He tells me stories that people would throw the cash in the roads. They would use it as toilet paper and things of all that sort, besides what currency is actually used for. And then when that comes into the U.S., it makes you think, well, that could happen anywhere. You've seen it in hyperinflation economies, Africa, Argentina, and things of all that sort. So what is stopping the US from becoming that? Well, there really isn't nothing. It's just somebody that sits in a certain chair, a position that says, hey, turn on the money printers. And then that people don't understand that they're literally robbing straight out of your pocket without robbing you. They're giving the money you have in your pocket, making it less valuable, which means more things are more expensive. And then from there, that's like another form of taxation that they could implement without anybody knowing. Because the question is now is what more likely are you to do? Are you going to complain about something you don't know what's going on? Or if you go to the store and you see that eggs now cost $15 plus you have to pay a 50% tax or something, which one's going to catch your eye more versus the one that's being done right under your nose? So that's like a whole big thing with debasement currency and why I believe Bitcoin is such a powerful tool, because at the end of the day, Bitcoin's a set supply. Nobody has control of it. There's only 21 million. And then from there, there's nothing else you can really do. So it actually comes down to how you want to hold your wealth. Do you want to hold it with somebody that has power over it? Or do you want it to be decentralized where everybody has access to it, but nobody is really in control? So I prefer the decentralized. I don't want somebody to tell me how I'm able to use my money, how they are the ones making the valuable of my money and things of that sort.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. It's. I remember reading or watching documentaries on World War II and Nazi Germany before Adolf Hitler. And I'm no historian, so I could get this all wrong, but my recollection of the documentary was such that hyperinflation took over so bad, and that enabled him to get into power to large measure. But they'd have a wheelbarrow full of money and could only buy a loaf of bread with it. It was just ridiculous. And you have to be blind not to see. A dozen eggs is like, $15. It's everything. My wife says she can't go to the supermarket. Everything on average is $5. I like pears and apples. A pear is $2. One pear, a piece of fruit. And that's just insane. And so I'm watching our earnings each year as steadily as they've remained, thankfully, thank God. They're just the buying power is no longer there, and that's got me concerned. And that's why I'm intrigued with the fact that it's not I can be more in charge. So what have you purchased with it yet? Have you made any substantial purchases with this or transactions using the Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency?
Yeah. So from actual transactions, I'm obviously partaking in actual things on chain. So I'm buying NFTs. I'm buying meme coins of that sort. But when it comes to actually pulling it out and investing it in something in real life, aside from club stuff, because most of the donations come in crypto and they're paying for pizza. So that's one way we're using crypto. But aside from that, the way I look at it is I want to hold as much crypto as possible, specifically Bitcoin. So I don't want to sell it just yet. So when it comes to actually making a big purchase of it, then there's none of that really happening. Because at the end of the day, the main goal is accumulate as much Bitcoin as you can, because everything else is getting devalued.
I gotcha. Insightful stuff for such a young man. You got a bright future, I'm telling you. I'm proud of you, buddy. Good job.
I appreciate it.
Well, we're talking with Ezven Galarraga.
Yep.
You can find Ezven and more about what makes him tick and what more about his venture over at Waatech.xyz. That's WAATECH.xyz. And of course, over on the LinkedIn platform, he goes into a little bit more explanation about what he's up to. And tell me, I'm interested. You host these hackathons. What in the heck's a hackathon?
Yeah, so a typical hackathon, something that you may see and probably wherever you're at, is it's kind of like a small organization of a bunch of people who are developers. So the hackers in this case, where they come in and they're given a certain set of task, whether it's a bounty of fixing a certain problem or creating a project in this time. And these people come into this room, usually a convention center or something. They stay there and have 2 days to complete a project or the certain task that was given to them. So these are events that are dedicated to just highlight right off the spot who is the best developer that these people who are throwing on the events can possibly hire. And that's kind of like the general overview of what a hackathon is. Now, the specific hackathon we're hosting is called a build-a-thon, so it's something completely different. And what we notice from these hackathon competitions is that, first off, specifically in Web3, because Web3, a lot of the developing that's being done is not through your typical native coding languages like JavaScript or things of that sort. And you have to learn something completely new that, like I said, these students aren't getting educated on in campus. So the idea of the current build-a-thon we're hosting is we make it 11 weeks, right? Why 11 weeks? Well, these 2-day hackathons for students isn't feasible. Students have to go to class, or if it's on the weekend,
Right.
they may not have the time to really do it. They may have a football game they'd rather go to or things of that sort. And it really doesn't make sense for a student to attend a Web3 hackathon because at the end of the day, like, the languages are nothing similar to what they know. So they'll more than likely be wasting the time. So we make it 11 weeks. We host educational workshops in between, all virtual, to educate these students on what it takes to become a developer in this space, because that's exactly what this industry lacks is more builders, more developers, because it's so new. Everybody's scrambling to find the best talent. So 11-week competition, workshops in between, and to get those non-technical students involved as well, we're hosting non-technical bounties. So we're bringing in marketers, artists, finance students to design their own kind of competition and partake in that. Whether if it's a marketing one, they would compile the best marketing campaign for a certain project. And that way the sponsors that come in can see where the best talent is on that front. And things of all that sort. So in short, a hackathon is really just a 2-day competition where people come together to develop a project or solve a certain issue usually for 48 hours.
But on from your perspective, you're comprising one which is 11 weeks, and it's
Yeah.
kind of like a mastermind in a group where you get everybody, tech folks, non-tech folks, and I like how you get the sponsors. Okay, so that helps you guys in terms of the organization and the implementation, and then it's a win-win for them because they can see what cream rises to the top in terms of talent, and then they can skim that talent or make a play for those individuals. Are you a facilitator? Are you a host, a teacher, an educator in that regard? I mean, I know you're the
Uh,
founder and the president, but
yeah. When it comes to the actual workshops and the educational front,
yeah,
I'm the one providing most of it, unless it's a guest speaker we bring on. Uh, so I guess you could consider myself an educator, but I like to consider myself as a student always, because you're always
yeah,
learning and you should always stay learning. So
yeah.
on this specific topic, I'm educating, but I'm also giving the floor to industry leaders that would like to educate students as well.
And you're constantly in a state of research yourself. You said you're an eternal student and you have to be. How did you get interested in this? I mean, what sparked it? What motivated your mindset to say, hey, you know what? This crypto scenario is going somewhere. I want to be I want to get involved. How did you do that?
Yeah, this is actually a really funny story. So I'll throw it back to when I was still riding dirt bikes. I used to train at Taptow's motocross training facility, and I would live there with a bunch of my buddies. And one of my really good friends now, uh, he was telling me about stocks at the motocross track. Surprisingly, you're learning about stocks at the motocross track, and he's telling me about this cryptocurrency called Doge. This is back in like 2019, 2018, something. He's like, check out this Doge coin, you can buy it. He was telling me about it. I was like, oh, I don't really know anything. Fast forward a few more years, I finish I go to Loretta's, I finish riding dirt bikes, and I'm looking to pursue something in college. And at this time, I'm scrolling through the internet. Mind you, I was a super big collector of Pokemon cards, sneakers, and things of all that sort. And I'm scrolling through the internet, finding ways on how to make money like your high school, middle school students do nowadays. And I come across this thing called NFTs. I click on the video and I'm all like, this is really cool. This is such a fascinating concept that it would fit right into the collectible world. So that next day, I did a bit more research, started looking into NFTs, bought my first NFT, and then I went to my dad and I was all like, "Can you give me $800 to buy this NFT?" And he looked at me all crazy and said, "No, what is this?" And fast forward a bit on that is that NFT project ended up being Bored Apes, and that's part of the reason how I onboarded him. He saw it and he was like, "That makes so much sense now."
Yeah.
But going back to that, I bought NFTs and then I started diving into more of what is cryptocurrency, what makes it valuable, tying it
Yeah.
into the stories my dad was telling me about Venezuela. And then from there, just going into deeper to the projects, what is blockchain, the implementations of blockchain on things like science, marketing, finance, art, gaming, and all these sectors, and then tying it into my own personal education. And then came to college my freshman year. I was expecting people to be talking about this information, and nobody was saying anything. Very disappointed in the fact in this. I was contemplating dropping out because this is the thing I was passionate about. This is the industry I knew I wanted to work in. And there was a conference happening at that time in Austin, Texas. And I told my dad, "You want to go with me?" So we end up going. And there's this university student event going on. I talked to some students there, and they're all like, "Yeah, I'm on the verge of dropping out, and I don't know what to do, but I know I want to work in the industry." And one of the students tells me, "You should build this club. It'll give you a whole bunch of opportunities, and it'll just really beneficial, especially for somebody like you who knows a lot about this stuff." And came back my sophomore year, started it, and then now we're here. So that's kind of the journey of my whole blockchain career almost. And then, of course, there's some projects I've worked on in between my sophomore and junior year now, and all other initiatives I'm working on.
Excellent, excellent. So I shared this with your father. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to it. It's an audio podcast that I did. It was an interview. His name was George Chanos, and George Chanos, it was the former attorney general for the state of Nevada. And he authored a book. He's got two books, but the latest book is called Samurai Millennial. And George is a little older than I am, but he's very versed on all this stuff, NFTs and crypto and the future and stuff. And we got to this was going back about 2 or 3 years ago when I interviewed him. But he's very instrumental. I would encourage you to listen to that. And if you ever want to get a hold of him in terms of a speaker or somebody is taking part and parcel, and the unique coincidence that I learned is that he attended UNLV. So he went to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and the coach there was Jerry Tarkanian for the Runnin' Rebels, and they won a national championship. And he was, he was very he sat courtside and all this kind of stuff. And I wanted to say the Red Raiders, I think from a coaching standpoint, Bobby Knight from Indiana came down there and coached for you guys for a while. He just recently passed, rest his soul. But if you'd like, I'd be happy to get you two guys in contact. He would be so impressed with your fortitude and your desire and your passion and your drive and energy and passion for this stuff. I think that it might be a fit there. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to get in contact with people in the industry because it's such a small world. It's kind of like the motocross community where a lot of people know each other already, and the people who do are absolutely so passionate and in love with what's going on.
Yeah.
They just want to be a part of it basically every day. Like, I'm consuming this stuff That's all I do. I really don't go to class. I only have an hour or two in class, and then the rest of the time is just working on this stuff to what I believe that's going to be more beneficial than what's actually being learned in the classroom.
Yeah. Well, I think we're energy flows where attention goes, right? So you're placing your attention on this facet of the economy. Let me ask you this: your economics professors, do you bump heads with them? I mean, are you just kind of like you just lay low in the background and shake your head?
It's actually a little bit of both. So whenever I first came into college, I was majoring in finance actually, and throughout these few years that I was a finance major, I was in finance classrooms, and they would briefly mention crypto, and I would always, most of the time, what they were mentioning was either outdated information or completely irrelevant. And they would bring this up, and mind you, they're talking to a student or a classroom rule of like 130 students or something, an insane amount of people there, and they're talking this information that is quite outdated, doesn't really make sense, and all these people are listening. Because if you're a student like myself and you hear a professor talk about something, then you think that's a viable answer.
That's
most
gospel,
of the time of what he has to say. Yeah. And I found this to be a really big issue. So I started to, I would almost get into arguments with the professors during the classroom, and we would just be going back and forth. And at the end of the day, if a student, it seems like he knows more than a professor on a certain topic, then the professor tends to get aggravated, and they're all like, all right, just stop. And they just keep going and going until you realize that it's more of an ego thing. It gets to a certain point.
Absolutely.
So that's what was happening in the finance side of the major. And then I would also go to like career fairs and talk to industry leaders like Goldman Sachs, Fidelity, people who are recruiting for jobs, for students to work at these jobs. And then I would mention to them cryptocurrencies, how their company is actually actively participating in it. And they would give me they would come back at me and backlash too. They would say things like, "Oh, that's not true. You don't know what you're talking about. I wouldn't pursue that if I was you." Like super negative. And fast forward a bit more, I'm 95% sure those people remember me because everything I said, they're now starting to realize. And then in my economics major now, there's still some correlation. Like I just had a conversation the other day with one of the professors about how Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation. And we had a whole argument there during the class too. And it's just a whole bunch of backlash where you realize it's those very few professors that actually take the time to continue their education, and they're okay with not always being wrong or not always being right on certain topics, and taking the time to learn that that what they may have known is already outdated.
Yeah, they're disseminating outdated information. Students look up to, like you say, students look up to these folks, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and what they're preaching is gospel, and they're downloading this information, and it's erroneous, and it could be detrimental to their growth. And it's funny how you say it goes out into the commercial sector with the banking, like Fidelity and Goldman Sachs. I mean, it's just but that to me, I don't know. That to me says that you're on the right path. When they're getting aggravated and their ego gets in front of it, you're hitting a nerve. And when you're pressing like that, or that's definitely, you're onto something. So I wouldn't relent. I would continue on that vein.
No, yeah, definitely. But the only thing I have a hard time overcoming sometimes is that it's these are the people that exactly would be benefited so much by this technology.
Yeah.
Like if that professor actually took the time to learn about Bitcoin and maybe put some of his wealth into Bitcoin, he would probably not have to work his 9-to-5 job that he may or may not like any much longer than what he's going to be forced to do. And that's what really gets me going sometimes. It's not about the ego that they have. It's the fact that I feel that this is something that I'm going to be so right about in the future that I want to make sure that they at least take the time to be a part of it, because I've been saying this the whole conversation, Bobby, is that this is going to be so impactful and it's going to be able to revolutionize so many people's lives. So how can you get so many people on the boat before the boat that they're coming off of starts sinking? And that's the whole mission of what I'm trying to do. And if that means going into argument battles that may affect the student's or professor's ego, then so be it. But at the end of the day, that's the whole purpose of the club as well, is to educate and show people why this is something they should start pursuing.
That's a worthy ideal. You're to be commended, because if you have a bigger quote unquote worldview in store, because you're absolutely right. There's going to be a transition time, and you visualize it with the boat coming on board into port, but it's sinking, and you want the folks to get off that boat. So that's admirable. Yeah.
Yeah. It's something that has just been instilled on me my whole life too. My dad, he's something that kind of, my mom and dad, or my grandpa too. Almost a lot of people in my family have a long lineage of doing things for the better, and you'll get rewarded in some way or return. And that's kind of the whole mission of what I feel my purpose of life is.
That's awesome. That is awesome. There you go, folks. Well, your parents, they raised you right, and your parents and your grandpa and your cousins and your family, you have that mindset and that drive and that always putting other people first. And you're right. What comes around goes around. What you reap, what you sow, you're going to reap. And if you have this, if you're going into your mission and your purpose with the right motivation and the right motives, I think you cannot go wrong, because at the end of the day, you're not trying to shoot down somebody for their wrong belief or their wrong doctrine or their wrong teaching or preaching. You're saying, hey, look, there's two sides to the coin, no pun intended, but
exactly.
You want to be, mindful of that. And I'm just trying to bring it. And I love your conviction. I love that you're all in. You're not just either you're pregnant or you're not pregnant. You know what? And you're pregnant. You're all the way in.
I'm pregnant with twins. I'm all the way in, but no. No, I'm not about that whole agenda.
It's not on the horizon just yet.
Yeah. Not quite yet. That's too early for me right now.
Well, man, I know you're a busy guy, and I appreciate you carving out the time on the weekend. You're teaching, you're educating, you're learning all at the same time, and you're gracious, and I'm very grateful for you taking the time to be on the program. So thank you so much, man.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a fun time to chat and chop it up and always talk about Web3, because I love doing that. Spread the word to out as many people as we can. That's the goal.
Outstanding. Well, we'll do our best on our side to do that too, and get this interview out so folks' itchy ears can hear it. But that wraps up this installment of the Motivated Mindset podcast, where we learned what all motivates the mindset of my guest, Ezven Galarraga. And should you like to learn more about Ezven and his venture, be sure to seek him out at Waatech.xyz. That's WAATECH.xyz, and over on the LinkedIn platform as well. So for Ezven Galarraga, I'm Bobby Stein with the Motivated Mindset, and we thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and please, folks, as always, take good care.
You've been listening to another episode of the Motivated Mindset podcast with your host, Bobby Stein. Thank you for tuning in.